Guys, this is Kate from Diaries of a Data Scientist, and today we are doing our already fourth episode on the discovering, let's say, the data science industry. And today we're going to talk about pretty much how AI hype affected the data scientists working in the industry, and we're going to talk about different effects. Let's say that what we have right now on the market about, for example, automatization of the processes, or that our field, let's say, got more popular with the LLMs got and jumped right into the market out of nowhere, I would put it like this. And then we're going to talk about the inference and consequences. And that Yasmin and I are going to talk about different advices for data scientists in the experts, and as well as for our fellows who just started the data science journey and got a lot of questions with these LLM models on the market.
Very excited for today. I've been waiting for quite some time that we can do this episode. And yeah, it fits very well because just this week on Monday, also OpenAI had their Dev Day on 6th of November. If you haven't checked out the updates presented there, just try to find a nice summary. You don't have to go through like the whole videos and everything, but there's a really nice blog post also from OpenAI directly, which summarizes the news there. This is one part on how you can also stay up to date with all of the things that are going on with AI right now. But actually, we also plan to give you some further pieces of advice on how you stay up to date in the next episode. But for now, let's stay with the AI hype right now. So, Kate, I don't know how to start, right? I feel that
we got a lot.
Yes, and this year, 2023, has been like the golden year for AI, I would call it, after we also seen some times when AI was not really a lot covered in the media and so on. So we also called them the AI winters, and there have been, I think, 3 or 4 since everything got started. But this year, it's the year to be a data scientist, I would say.
Yeah, maybe we could, about a starting point, maybe we can start with discussing what it actually means for a data scientist working in the industry and how it pretty much affects not only maybe the data scientists, but also a lot of business people. One of the thoughts that came to my mind is that the data science used to be a bubble, sort of a closed bubble. And if you're outside of this bubble, pretty much you heard something about the machine learning or AI, you maybe read something, maybe you had people, but you've never actually had a touch point with that field. And right now with the large language models, with ChatGPT, our, let's say, saver in the text version life, it got just outside of
the
those
bubble
bubbles.
popped, kind of, right?
Yes.
And now it's everywhere. Yeah.
And this is what I see a pretty cool benefit of that, because pretty much maybe it's a little bit linked also with the upskilling of business people outside of this bubble, because pretty much what I see so far is that every single person got interested in this, and they have this real interest to understand the capabilities and the limitations of data science field in general. How is that working for you? Is it like, do you have the same feeling?
Absolutely. And I think we should get a little bit more concrete about what we're talking here, right? I think mainly we're talking about generative AI. So all of this tooling that has popped up, either like in the field of generating text, but also generating images, video, audio, all of this belongs to generative AI as well. I think text has been most prevalent due to tools like ChatGPT from OpenAI, right? But I also feel that the more traditional techniques around machine learning, basically as a consequence, has also gotten more speed and more upwind and more attention. So I think brought in by generative AI, the whole field about AI has gotten more attention and also more budget. Like, let's be real, right? Also more budget in the different companies. And
Yes,
You can also see
definitely.
this in venture capital money being basically, as long as you do something with AI in your startup, like there's still enough money flowing. For other fields,
Yes.
it's definitely looking more like darker right now in terms of venture capital money.
Yes, yeah, totally agree with that. Maybe with that, we can also talk a little bit about the business side. What I see a lot, at least in the projects that I'm working with currently right now, is that people got interested how it can automate the processes in every like day-to-day life pretty much being in the industry. And for me, it is also a pretty interesting innovation for the people because they will come over and say, okay, Kate, how can we use that in order to, I don't know, do the job postings, or in order to write a text for an advertisement for a campaign, or how we can use that to write the entire presentation meeting. And I think this is really wonderful, honestly, in terms of the business side, because what it actually means is that people are not that overwhelmed kind of with the routine tasks as text writing, and they can really put a lot of attention to the innovations in their fields with that.
Yeah, and getting to know the customers, right? And
Yes.
I think that is something that we should not miss, right? AI is really, really nice tool. But on the other hand, in order to stay competitive, I think now is the time to get even stronger into the business, which means you have to be even better in your operations. You have to know your customers better. You have to sell better. And like the automation of, or partially automation of some processes will help, right? But that means the focus is shifting into other areas where you now have to be even stronger.
And I guess it also means not only for the business side, but also for data science field, that people also have to kind of get stronger on the soft skills. And I guess this is something that we have talked on the 2 prior episodes about the soft
Yes.
skills, and the second one and in the third one, because with the LLMs, people would expect you kind of to communicate towards that and to put it into the frame when you are discussing different projects.
Yeah,
This is what I also
absolutely.
see for the data scientists.
Yes. And there was this really like often cited McKinsey report where they basically say that 75% of the AI innovations is either going to be in customer operations, sales and marketing, R&D, or basically coding and software engineering. And I think that is something that we wanted to discuss today, to show to our listeners or maybe also viewers on YouTube, what does basically the new breakthroughs in AI mean for data scientists, and especially also from one side talking about this coding support tools like Copilot, but on the other side also the tooling like Code Interpreter, Code Whisperer, or also there's some tooling from DeepNote, which is really targeting data analysis, data visualizations, and to some extent data science as well.
Yeah. If I may, I would ask you one question.
Of
I know that
course.
we have discussed that previously, but I'm really interested at kind of your opinion. I know that Mantis, they have already asked you, and they will continue to ask you, with the Copilot that we have currently for data scientists and every single developer out there, do they actually need to learn programming languages and learn how to program?
Yes, and it's like really, really interesting how more common this question got in the past weeks and months. I think here we really need to differentiate who's asking. If the kind of career track of the person asking is software engineering, the software creation part, so not specifically targeting data, right? I think if you want to be just like a mediocre well programmer, but put your focus also in other skills, I would say that these coding tools, they will really take up a lot of like the basics.
Yeah.
So unless you're planning to become really like a full-fledged software engineer, focusing on the developing of like mobile applications, for example, or like really also getting into more this systems engineering, there of course you still need to know programming. You have to understand the concepts. But if programming is only going to be a smaller part of your day, I would really question of how much efforts you put into this right now. I still see a lot of value in learning the concepts that come with programming, like, you know, different data structures, algorithms. What does this mean?
Yeah.
To how do we measure performance in algorithms and things like that. But I would question if you need to really learn more than one programming language to understand that,
Yeah.
and B, how much efforts you need to put into that to become proficient. For those people where programming is only going to be a smaller part of the day-to-day and they're not focusing on, say, data science. For data scientists, maybe I would say it also really depends. But if you really want to work as a data scientist in companies, yes, I still feel that even with these tools, you need to program on your own as well.
Yes, and also what I always say to kind of such questions is that even if you can use natural language in order to create functions with the Copilot, you still need to understand what is going on in there. For example, I do use a lot of ChatGPT from the natural language to the code, and this is firstly a lifesaver because you don't need to develop that by yourself. This is really nice and handy, and you don't need to spend a lot of time. And sometimes, you know, the programming can be pretty frustrating because this is not something that in English language that you just know the syntax and you go ahead with this. No, this is not working like that. And this is the first part. But the second part, kind of the backside of this, is that sometimes it is using total different libraries which are not existed anymore. Sometimes you would have totally different functions which are not in there as well anymore because it was like updated till 2021, I guess, mid of 2021, and right now we have 2023, and that is why would you have it. Sometimes, you know, it is going to use like for loops which are pretty expensive and if statements instead of using functions, and this comes to the time expensive in the different algorithms, as maybe, as you totally correctly said, don't invest a lot of time if you feel that is not going to be your main part of your like data science journey, but you need to at least understand what is happening in there in order to understand how to optimize this later and why this is not working.
Yes, absolutely. And just for those listeners who are maybe not as familiar with this code interpreter tool that we've been discussing so far, so OpenAI writes on their page, Code Interpreter is a tool which writes and runs Python code in a sandbox execution environment and can generate graphs and charts and process files with diverse data and formatting. So this is how they describe this tool, and it's pretty similar to what Amazon offers with Code Whisperer. I think DeepNote, as mentioned, they are really targeting more this notebook environment that comes with this Jupyter notebooks. But basically very, very similar. And I think what these kind of tools can really help with is, for example, citizen developers or citizen data scientists, or even, you know, colleagues from the business who have no prior like experience with data analysts to get a bit started. And if they have, for example, like a bigger Excel file where they really don't know what's going on in there, if it's of course allowed in your company to upload it and ask, okay, what is this about? Can you tell me some of the basic statistics? What is going on? You know, mean, median, distributions. So getting a grip on what is going on here, right? The basic statistics, maybe also some quicker data visualizations. But honestly, this whole part still relies on you as the user being able to ask the right questions. Asking the right questions, asking good questions. And that is only something that comes with deeper experience and knowledge about data science. So while it may be able to automate a part of, for example, the data analyst role, I don't see it honestly having a huge effect on data scientists per se.
You know, maybe a little bit going outside of the topic, I would put it like this. Just a brief question that I've been asked all the time. I just want to know your opinion. Like currently right now in our situations with ChatGPT, GitHub Copilots, everything can run for you. Would you recommend to learn Python or PySpark or maybe something else for the starters?
Yeah, really good question. For me, PySpark is more something which really should be the go-to tool for data engineers who have to work with like larger data amounts. So that's where I see it most being effective and valuable. I feel for data scientists, Python, maybe I'm a bit biased there, right? Because personally, it's my favorite language. I still see Python as the kind of go-to. And I do see it somewhat converging on Python, honestly. Unless you're like more really working as a, say, core statistician, where you may still be in favor of using R instead, I see Python as more the kind of Swiss Army tool of things.
That was pretty much the question, because sometimes it is kind of tricky to answer, because right now we have like Python, PySpark,
Julia, for example, right?
Julia, yes. R that you have. What else do you have? You have SPSS, I guess it is called, something like that.
Yeah. That is the statistics tool, right?
Statistical tool, yes.
Also, you've often used more like from colleagues coming up from the business domains, but there's also, for example, Rust being very, very high in favors among multiple data scientists and machine learning engineers, which is, I think, also quite interesting. So
I have never heard about this, and I have never seen that, and like never seen anyone who is using that.
Do have a look into Rust. I think it's especially also by the big players on the AI market right now being quite high in the course.
Going back pretty much to our topic, apart from talking about Python, I love talking about the Python language.
We got a bit sidetracked here.
Yes, I kind of have two more topics on my list to discuss. The first one is the competition that we do have on the market right now, and I will explain what I mean by this. So what I feel is that with the large language models, specifically with the ChatGPT, I feel that the field of the data science became more popular, as we said in the beginning, because pretty much this bubble popped up, and that is why this is happening. And this is what I see, and like kind of as a consequence, we do have more competition on the market among the data scientists and people who want to guide into the field of the data science. Do you feel kind of the same effects? I would put it like this.
Yeah. So I would say yes and no. Yes, because I have the feeling that whoever currently is more working on the, say, intersections tries to focus and pivot a bit more into the data science, machine learning, large language model area. On the other side, for people who maybe now newly heard about the topic of AI, right? So maybe because it's now been more broader been brought into the mainstream media, everyone's talking about it. It's part of like the local newspapers. For those people, it may still take some time until they are able to pivot their career, right? So I do expect an even bigger upsurge in, let's say, competition on the market for data scientists maybe in 1 to 2 years. But right now it's mostly people like who are already in the fields pivoting a bit more into this area of large language models specifically, and the fancy AI stuff, maybe when they before have been more working on the intersections.
And kind of a linked question to this point. How should I phrase it? Not about a competition, but about the bias. Recently, I've started seeing a lot of different articles and posts on LinkedIn and different resources like Medium, that out of sudden we started having a lot of AI experts, ML experts, and this is kind of creating, maybe I'm using the wrong term for that, like the information asymmetry and bias at the same time. I'm not even sure how to
Do
put
you
it
mean
into the
information
words.
asymmetry, like from basically saying that the experts are now pushing out a lot of updates, information, and so on, and the rest who's non-expert in that field is trying to catch up? Or what do you mean with
Yeah,
this asymmetry?
yeah.
It's really hard to put into words, I agree, but
Yes,
I think I know what you mean, that right now we're kind of converging on some of the say loud voices in AI and like looking up to what they say about the things, and then everyone is just repeating what they say. Is that what you mean?
yes, exactly. This is what I mean. You put it really nicely into the sentence. And kind of, I don't see anymore. I see that people are going to repeat it, and because of that, we're lacking kind of different points of view on the same trend. This is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that some of the other perspectives are not really being heard.
We have the whole horizon open up for us to see different positive and negative aspects of that. And talking actually about a positive aspect is I don't got still this feeling, but I'm really hopeful that it's going to pretty soon with that a lot of companies are going to be more mature in that field. I guess this is something that we have talked the last time maybe, or like in the previous episode, but also something that we have already discussed with you maybe like 1 year ago, that a lot of companies and as well as people, they got trapped into different jargon words, kind of notations, different positions, roles, and processes of the data science sort of pipeline, like not even like data science, but MLOps pipeline. And that is why they usually don't get to understand who is who and what this kind of person is doing. And with this breakout of the LLMs, I really do hope that it's going to be more and more, decreasing in the industry part.
Did you been like kind of stuck in one niche of the kind of data science chain?
Yes. And that the companies will also, they will be more mature in order to recognize and differentiate between different positions. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
What I'm
do
trying
hope
to
so,
say.
that this is like one of the very positive side effects coming from let's call it this AI hype, right? This year, that
Yep.
many companies really start, if they haven't until now, to really think about getting into this seriously and what they need. I kind of have the concern, right, that if you then make really, really, say, fast shots and jumping, because you don't want to miss out. I think a lot of the activities are driven right now by the fear of missing out, or in short, FOMO, for like our Gen Z people. And sometimes, I mean, like on one hand, this is good as a kind of activity driver, right? Because I mean, you have to get into motion as a company. On the other side, this might lead to, say, less sustainable solutions for the longer term, because you just want to make fast in action, and you just, let's call it in terms of hiring, hire whoever is willing to join your company as a, for example, data scientist right now, instead of maybe planning a bit more long term. What are really the skills that you need right now?
Yes. Yep.
So it's like a double-edged sword. Like
Yes,
often many
I can
things in
feel
life,
that.
it depends on what the companies make out of it. Let's try to summarize a bit the effects we've discussed so far on the data scientists. We've heard that maybe like some of the processes are going to be automated, which also leads to your task as a data scientist possibly shifting a bit. We heard about possibly that the market, like talking about skills and hiring,
Yes.
market is getting a little bit more competitive, because it just gets even more attention right now outside of the, say, traditional data science bubbles, so more people coming into this field. And we've also heard about that maybe this will help companies and organizations to mature. And also this can have positive effects on your role as a data scientist, because more maturity for the companies mean better understanding of the roles and tasks, better working conditions. So that's where we are right now.
And maybe to add
Wonderful.
the last point to that is don't miss out the business people who right now also have a wonderful opportunity to get in touch with the data science field by knowing LLMs currently.
Absolutely. And I think large language models could help you in two ways, right? A, to have a conversation starter, to say you have a reason now to reach out and say, oh, this is something that I see as a possible help. But on the other hand, of course, you can also use tools like, for example, ChatGPT to understand a little bit better some of the concepts that your colleagues in the data science area have been throwing around. What are those decision trees? What are these kind of models they've been talking about? And just ask large language models, hey, can you explain this to me as a newbie to the topic? Can you explain this to me like for a 15-year-old? So this is also really, really nice as a learning opportunity to use this as a learning tool. And I think also with this latest news and that OpenAI has been sharing about this custom GPTs. I don't know if you heard about this. I really see even bigger opportunity to for example, have something like an AI tutor.
Yes, yeah, definitely. That is going to honestly amazing. But maybe, the last thing that I'm thinking to discuss is, how do you think, with everything that we have already discussed and talked through, is it still sort of handy, let's put it like sexy, to go into the data science position if you are just, finishing the high school?
Yes, that is a very, very good question. And I'm not sure if I personally have a final opinion on this, to be honest. Because for one hand, I see it as a kind of future-proof career track, honestly. Yes, I with more AI being part of our daily lives as well as work lives, understanding about this is going to be your competitive advantage about, compared to other people, over other people. I think also it maybe has never been easier than right now to break into data science, with all of the courses popping up, podcasts like ours where you can find information about this, right? So I think the opportunity is really, really good.
Yes.
On the other hand, I also see that, and now talking a bit more about what kind of advice I would give to current data scientists, I see that we maybe have to shift a bit the focus points. So that means that either if you're working now as a kind of data scientist in the companies, and you know a little bit of statistics, something about software engineering and computer science, and you're like kind of have a bit more this broader view, right? Not being the one expert in one field of data science. Either that you should maybe think about becoming an expert in one field, or even going more broader with your profile. And let me maybe explain what I mean by this, right? So I see that either you should really try to become very, very proficient, for example, with statistics and something like A/B testing and causal inference, because this is what will also be needed in large language models to successfully utilize them. With the introduction of large language models, I think it's even becoming more important to know how to productionize them, know how to evaluate them. So this is what I mean with either going deeper into this direction, or you can think about adding more of the side activities, right? Data engineering, machine learning operations. So really trying to become this full stack data scientist who can write code, but also is really good with statistics, building the actual machine learning models, but then also knowing how to sell this maybe to the business. Because I think for this like middle part that maybe many data scientists are on right now, I think this is really going to be affected by coding tools like GitHub Copilot. But on the other side, also, I see that this data analysis tools are gonna get stronger and stronger.
Well, Yasmin,
So
I
this
do
is
have
like
one of
the
the
two
ideas.
possible opportunities.
Maybe we have to create our own business to do this, like, using AI for the data visualizations and plots.
Yes, but
Well,
I
like,
also see
right.
it's already a very competitive field right now out there. Yes. And
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
like a third option we've missed, right? You could also think about adding more of this soft skill areas to your role as the data scientist. Really seeing yourself as the translator to the business, but also the storyteller from the data side. And like we said earlier, right? It's now becoming even more essential and crucial to be better in the other business areas, like knowing your
Yes.
customer, knowing what they want, anticipating what they will need in the future, and building up more business domain knowledge. I would like to add some more references of where you can maybe find also some more information. So personally, I, for example, very much like to follow Sundar Khalid. She does a lot of YouTube videos. She's so like a influencer in the data science area. She's working at Google, and she has discussed quite lengthily in the past how she will think AI will change the role, for example, of data analysts and the tech industry in general. So this is definitely what I can recommend, as well as following Ellie K. Miller, for example, on LinkedIn. She's very, very big there. She does nice summaries about what is going on in the AI world right now, and in a kind of language that is also understandable for non-techies. And lastly, also Daliana, who is also having a newsletter on this topic. And you can find more extensive information there. So Free Women also in data science, really, really big recommendation to follow them as well.
Honestly, I think that I will put it to my notes because I've never heard of those guys, and maybe I have heard of them. Maybe I do even have it on my LinkedIn followers like list, but I've never actually put my attention towards their names.
Oh, we're gonna
But it's
definitely
pretty
put them in the
awesome.
show notes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
we're gonna put those free recommendations in the show
Yeah,
notes.
that I guess sounds awesome. And I guess this pretty much goes as like leaves us to the next topic, which we're going to discuss later in the episode 5 is how to stay up to date, having life, having work, and also kind of having a little bit of learning in the data science journey. What do you think?
Exactly, yeah, because I mean, it can be another full-time job next to the full-time job to stay up to date with
Yes.
what's going on and build up new skills, right? And maybe you still wanna add in a bit of family, friends, and hobbies on the side. So we will talk about our 5 most popular methods to do this, and also share a bit our personal favorites there. See you in the next episode then.
Yep. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.